Hey guys, so today basically what I'm going to be doing is going over kind of the basics of arrays. And what arrays are basically kind of just a list. And this can be a list of integers, strings, any primitive type, and even your own objects or and classes. So this can become really useful because it allows you to basically have just store all your variables in a list or a bunch of values in a list. And obviously there are many applications for that. Um, but there are a few main things that you need to understand about arrays before working with them. First is that there's zero index, and what this means is that the first value is always accessed through zero. And basically, one way of accessing an array, an element in an array is if I type out the array name. Let's say my array name is just A for argument's sake. Then I'll put some square brackets, and I'll type in zero. And basically, what this will do is it'll access the first element of the array. But yeah, and you can keep doing this up to 1, 2, 3, however long your array is. But that brings me to my next point, which is array lengths are set in stone. So the moment you declare them that's your final length. So you gotta be careful to make sure your array doesn't have to change size, or your list of data doesn't have to change size. If it does, you want to use a more complicated class like array lists or something like that. But we won't be going over this today. We're going to be focusing on primitive arrays. Um, so basically, the first thing you want to do in working with arrays is initialize an array. So how you can do this is by typing out the data type, and in my case, I'll be using an int, and the array name, I'll just use A, and then an open and close square bracket, and then a semicolon. And basically, this initializes the array, but we're not quite done. We also want to state how long the array has to be. So you want to say A equal to new int square bracket, and then number. In my case, it's going to be 5, and then closing bracket, semicolon. This is just one way of initializing, but you can also do, so let's say int b square brackets equal to new int 5. And this just initializes it all in one line. But now if we want to set the values of this, what we're going to have to do is say b b, and just like I explained earlier, to access a value, we have to put the name of the array, a square bracket, then number corresponding to an element of the array, and a closing bracket. So since we know that the first element of our array is always going to be 0 indexed, which means starting at 0, we're going to put 0 square bracket equal to, and I'm just going to say, let's say 1. Then I can repeat this b1 equal to 2, etc., etc., until I get to b5 equals to 6. But yeah, and if we want to test if we can actually access this, we can say system.out.line, and I can just say, let's say I want to check if b1 equals to 2. I can just say b, and then the second value, which will be 1. I know it's a little confusing, but this is one good way of learning, is just if I run this, it'll print out 2. So perfect. There's another kind of more convenient way of initializing arrays. You can just go another way is to say int a again, let's say, brackets equals 2, and you can put a curly brace, and then let's say we want 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we basically get an array like this, and it has this first value is 1, second value is 2, third value is 3, fourth value is 4. Let's say I want to make a string array. All I have to do is string, I'll just call it s, brackets, equal to curly brace, let's say, hello world. Now I've got a string array with hello and world as its elements. So the next thing we want to do is learn how to access and traverse that through an array. So as I mentioned before, accessing elements in an array is pretty simple. You just want to put down the name of the array, opening brace, square bracket, and then you want to try to figure out which value you want. So the first value is 1, which is going to be 0 to access it, then 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to put down A, 3, and this allows me to access the third value. So if I want to put that in a print line, I can double check if I'm accessing it correctly. Wait a second, there we go. So we see 4 gets printed out because it's the third element in our array. But another really convenient way of traversing through an array is with a for loop. Let me just type in a for loop for you, and I can kind of explain each part of that. let's say int I equal to 0, I less than or equal to 3, I plus. So basically why a for loop is really useful is it kind of allows you to repeat a bunch of steps with slightly different values. So if I say system.out.println I, and then I run it, you can see it prints out 0, 1, 2, 3. Basically what it'll do is I'll say I equals to 0, it'll check if it's less than or equal to 3, it'll run through the contents of the for loop, then it'll come back up to the top and add in 1 to I with the plus plus. And it'll repeat this until I is greater than 3. And so why this is really helpful is, let's say I want to print out all the elements of my array. All I have to do is a curly or square bracket, I. You want to make sure that's I. And then if I run it, we can see it prints out 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's really helpful. Just in case we have a really large array and we want to say, hey, print out all the values, or let's compare all the values with each other. Let's say you're, trying to organize your array, sort your array, all these things. For loops can be really useful. And there are a few other ways of traversing through arrays, like while loops and such. But for loops are definitely the simplest and most common. So basically, the last thing I want to do is show how to create an array of an object. So for this project's sake, what I did was I created a person class, and I created a basic constructor that just took two arguments, h and n, and I've used those to create new values called height and name. So what I'll do, if I want to create an array of person, I'll type out person, and I'll just say p parentheses equals to new person array, and I'll just set it to, let's say I want 3 people in this array. And basically now if I want to fill this in, I can go p0 equal to new person. Let's say this person is 60 inches tall, and their name is Joe. And then if I want to go to p1, I'll say new person, and I'll say this person is 70 inches tall, and their name is Sam. And then if I want to make the last person, I'll just say p2 equal to new person, and I'll just say they're 65 inches tall, and their name is Sally. Basically, what I've done here is I've created a 3-person array of a class of person. So what I've done is I created one person who's 60 inches tall, and his name is Joe. I've created another person whose name is Sam, and they're 70 inches tall. I've created another person who's Sally, and they're 65 inches tall. And that's basically, all the basics of arrays. Arrays can be used for all sorts of things, including making arrays of your own unique classes. But I hope you enjoyed and learned something. Make sure to check out the rest of the videos in the playlist.